While music culture rightly recognises Radiohead as musical innovators, Thom Yorke was quick to say that this classic track was ripped off from another band. So even the biggest Radiohead critics can begrudgingly accept that the band's 1995 album The Bends is a complete classic. Maybe the excursions into electronica, avant-garde classical and jazzy krautrock on Kid A were a little bit too much for you, or their classic album OK Computer was far too drenched in digital anxiety. But then their sophomore effort, The Bends, was a return to widescreen alternative rock and gargantuan riffs that saw the Oxford band firing on all cylinders. Hinting at their creative process on the EP My Iron Lung, the band was struggling to shake off that one-hit wonder tag that they had attained from Creep, an albatross that hung around their neck and also inspired the title of that EP. And so in a bid to enter new sonic terrain with an extra coating of haunted electronica, frontman Thom Yorke honed his lyrical barb to a sharper, introspective point and provided something that was an antidote to the knees up of Britpop at the time. And so a string of fantastic singles saw the band push away from that Creep dependency, but it was the fifth single in particular that saw them enter a new lease of life. Inspired by Ben Ockery's book The Famished Road, which he was reading while touring America, Yorke wrote the arpeggio for Street Spirit Fade Out, and in turn gave rock one of its engrossing album finales of all time. And at that point, it was a far cry from the pantomime that was happening in Britpop between Blur and Oasis.
Rows of houses all burn down on me.
It was a watershed moment for Radiohead and saw them take on a creative direction that didn't sound like anything in the charts, and so at that time they were rightly dubbed the musical innovators of the era. In 2001, Yorke said, "If I ever forget why I started this as a career, then Street Spirit is why I started. We spent a day going round in circles until I was thinking, this is never going to happen. Then suddenly something happened and I was transported to a place that I'd been willing myself to be in for months on end." And let's be honest, Yorke has always been candid about who the band had creatively pilfered from. From Aphex Twin's warped electronica to the live jazz pieces of Charles Mingus and Can's krautrock progressions, Radiohead have always worn their inspirations on their sleeves. But when it came to the band who sparked Street Spirit's lightning bolt, Yorke was clear whose fingerprints was all over the track. R.E.M. It was just a straight rip-off, you know. I've ripped them off left, right and centre for years and years and years. Yorke was always a fan of R.E.M., having been obsessed with them during his days as an art student. He watched the Georgian rockers grow from the indie fringes to being one of the biggest bands in the 1990s.
Oh, life is bigger. It's bigger than you, and you are not me.
When I was a kid, they were the link for me between the art student part of me and the musician part of me, he once said in an interview. Yorke continued, "Michael Stipe, the singer of R.E.M., was my hero, and now I'm friends with him, you know. It's an odd thing." He also admitted that Stipe helped him cope with the pressures of fame. He said, "He helped me through the end of that period when things just went crazy and people started talking to me like I was Jesus in the street. I would call him and say, I just can't handle it." Subconsciously taking notes on how to enter the upper echelons of commercial stature with integrity, R.E.M.'s Michael Stipe became something of a mentor for Thom Yorke as Radiohead's success started to pick up. And so when Yorke was panged of stage fright during the Bends era, Stipe's advice of "you're not here, this isn't happening" went on to lyrically find its way into Radiohead's masterstroke, How to Disappear Completely.